What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I think we're just gonna jump right into things today. So what we're working on is gonna be Mikey's new project truck. This is a what year?
It's an 89.
It's gonna be an 89 Dodge Ram 50. It's a macro cab, it's a short bed. This was the truck that was in some of the earlier videos hanging out in my driveway. We've had it this entire time and really haven't done anything with it. But we've been collecting a lot of parts over the last couple of years. I mean, I've got a couple engines for it. We got a couple different transmissions. Should have all the bolt-on parts to get everything running pretty quickly here. I think the main thing that we're gonna struggle with on this build is the wiring harness and the standalone engine management that he wants to run. Other than that, these Astron Series 2.6s are incredibly simple. But this is the truck. So I think what our main goal for today is to get this attached to the trans that is currently in this truck. So, I mean, we have some cleaning to do, which we're probably not gonna get too much to today, but getting this in is our main goal.
It'll be a challenge, but it'll be fun.
Yes. It'll be a little different because obviously this isn't the native engine for this truck. These trucks came NA, not turbocharged, but they've got a lot of room under the hood for activities. So it should be fairly easy to, you know, make a downpipe solution, get a catback ran, make an intake, charge piping, intercooler piping, or excuse me, intercooler and things like that. We are looking to do obviously a bigger turbocharger on it to pull a little bit more power, but we haven't really made any moves on that. I mean, manifold situations for these cars aren't the most available thing in the world, so it's probably gonna have to be one of those, you know, you buy a manifold kit from Treadstone and weld one up. But at this point, I'm rambling, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna get everything prepped. We're gonna get this motor up in the air. We're gonna try to find hardware for this trans. We're gonna get this thing in. We're gonna loosely bolt these engine mounts up and then just kind of start to lay out some rope, figure out an idea for an engine harness, and just get the basics taken care of today with the motor in the car. You know, that way we know what we're doing, we know what direction we're going, and it should be pretty easy to just kind of start laying stuff out from there. So let's get this thing up in the air and see where we can get to. Step one of this is gonna be getting this hood off.
And also, this engine probably won't stay in for very long just because that the turbo is bad in it, and also, like, yeah, I don't want to install it that dirty, but it just kind of is how it is. Pretty much installation is so we can make a harness. And then we'll figure out stuff from there.
So before we get too far into this, I should probably give you a little bit of backstory on what we're doing and like what this is, right? Recently, we've acquired a lot of these though. And these are Chrysler Conquest Mitsubishi Steryon. These came factory with a 2.6 liter turbocharged G54B. And it is essentially the exact same thing as what you would have found in a Dodge Ram 50, right? You get a G54B that's just a non-turbo engine. It's a non-turbo application. So essentially everything down to like the mounts and the routing of a lot of these hoses, like coolant hoses and all this stuff, the same. So realistically speaking, this is going to be a lot like installing a factory long block into a Dodge Ram 50, except, well, the major difference is there's a turbo on it. Outside of the turbocharging, or outside of the turbo system, it realistically shouldn't be, like I said before, any different than doing the stock setup.
So I've always thought about that, like how difficult could it be?
So yeah, like all that being said, it should, like you guys can kind of see, drop pretty much into factory position once we get the output shaft of the trans slipped into the pilot bearing. This mount should line up pretty much like it would have with the factory long block in it. So it should be pretty cool. I'm actually really excited.
I am too.
Yeah, finally turbo noises.
I'll finally, yes, have something that makes turbo noises.
This will be really cool. Oh, I'll show you the inside. This kid kind of jumped the gun and pulled this entire car apart, but
cleaning.
Yeah, and other things, but yes.
All right. I think we need. You're tight.
All right, so I want to try to catch this as step by step as I can. So now, as you can see, we have the engine and trans mated together. Our mounts are now sitting perfect. So anybody doing this swap, super easy. Should drop right in.
Yeah, it does when you know what you're doing, which we clearly don't. That took far longer
clearly
than.
don't.
So this is top bell housing bolt. We're getting finger tight.
Yeah, set all of our bolts now. We've kind of got motor and trans together. That bottom mount fell right into place.
Well,
And now this is pretty much what it looks like in. Looks like a stock Ram 50 that somebody put a Conquest turbo on.
stock-ish. Do you want to hand me my light there, Will?
Stock.
Where? That. Okay.
This is gonna be an interesting. Look how much room you have for the downpipe and.
It's almost like they put 6Gs in this. Yeah, he was trying to convince me to put a carb on this. I'm just like, bro, no. I don't live in 1976 anymore.
Correct.
I live in 2022 when EFI is this really easy thing to put on a lot of modern cars. It's almost like they make kits to put EFI on your 60s Chevelle. Who would have freaking thought?
How do you feel?
I feel good. I'm just hoping that it runs.
Yeah, like Will's saying, it really does look right at home. Put a pro mod in this damn thing if you wanted to. Big sidewinder, turbo right up here.
We are a long way from that.
Long way from what?
Starting.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no engine harness. We kind of pulled apart the body harness.
I don't know. I just work here. I'm just trying to know
No,
how things work.
Well, also the interior may or may not be 80% blown apart, as the dash is not bolted to the firewall and it's sitting on the bench seat.
So I thought you were getting the rest.
So, we're in. Right. Happy with this. We're gonna start laying out some harness now. So, I mean, the old stuff probably would work just fine, but we're gonna switch to a standalone engine management like we mentioned before. He's still making some decisions on that, but we need to figure out lengths, where we're gonna run things, where we're not gonna run things, kind of get an idea in our head for how we're gonna structure this whole thing. And then once we have that kind of idea and we know where we're headed, it'll be a lot easier to put a parts list together. And that's kind of our goal right now, is to figure out what we need. So we're gonna start by I think you guys are gonna take on the harness first.
Yeah, we're just gonna do some basic routing on how we want the harness to go, and then we can discuss where we're gonna mount certain things like our standalone controller and like a relay block and other little bits and bobs that we need to make this work. And then we'll kind of
go from there.
We'll go from there and just kind of see where we would like things to sit and where things will fit. That'll be ergonomical and serviceable. And I guess we'll kind of just go from there and figure out why they won't work in certain locations.
Cool. Yeah, and honestly, that'll probably be it for today, but we'll be back up, probably next weekend, see where we can get to on this thing.